23rd,
This
2020.
conference will now be recorded.
There's a delay. Go ahead.
So do you want me to repeat?
No, you're good.
I'm good. So we'll start with a flag salute and moment of silence, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we read the sunshine statement and have a roll call, please? Take a roll call, please.
Sure. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been given by filing written notice with the Township governing body and the Township clerk, mailing written notice to the Township's official newspapers and the Township website, posting written notice on the official bulletin board in the Chesterfield Township Municipal Building, and providing notice to all requested same. Ms. Batra?
Here.
Ms. Hughes?
Here.
Ms. Codestale?
Here.
Mr. Litt? Not present. Mr. Dopty?
Here. Moving on, are there any agenda matters requiring recusal?
No.
Okay. Next section, approval of the minutes for October 9th. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for October 9th?
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we do have a proclamation, and this, I'm really happy to do this. The month of October is recognized by the state of New Jersey as the Hindu Heritage Month. And here in Chesterfield, we are recognizing Diwali as a festival of lights. So I have a proclamation that I would like to read, and I did bring in some sweets as well. So please do take advantage of that if you are in the township, and if you are here, please do enjoy that. So the proclamation is recognizing Diwali, the festival of lights, whereas the holiday festival of Diwali or Deepavali is celebrated in autumn each year by Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, and others throughout Chesterfield Township and around the world. And whereas Diwali symbolizes the victory of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and good over evil. And whereas celebrants of Diwali light diyas, oil lamps, and decorate their homes with rangoli and colorful lights, representing the inner light that protects from the spiritual darkness. And whereas Diwali is a time for reflection, renewal, and strengthening of family and community bonds through prayer, sharing meals, exchanging gifts, and acts of kindness. And whereas for Hindus, Diwali marks the return of Lord Rama to Ayodhya after defeating King Ravana, a celebration of good triumphing over evil and light prevailing over darkness. And whereas for Sikhs, Diwali commemorates the release of the sixth Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh, from imprisonment by the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. And whereas for Jains, Diwali remarks the attainment of Nirvana by Lord Mahavira, the last of the Tirthankaras, who was among the great teachers of Jain Dharma. And whereas for Buddhists, Diwali is observed as the day Emperor Ashoka embraced the path of peace and Buddhism. And whereas Chesterfield Township values and celebrates the diversity of its residents and recognizes that the sharing of cultural and religious traditions enriches our entire community. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Township Committee of Chesterfield Township do hereby recognize October 20th as Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and encourages all residents to learn about and honor the festival's message of hope, light, and unity. In witness whereof, we have here unto set our hands and cause the seal of Chesterfield Township to be affixed this 23rd day of October 2025. So thank you for coming in. I would like to share this with Sandesh is here, with the other residents, and share a copy with them. And we'll then take a picture if you don't mind. And then we can. So I'm wearing somewhat of a traditional formal Indian attire. So that's the closest I can come to a formal attire.
You want us all to come down?
Yeah, that would be great.
Mhm. Well, wait, she can at least take a picture if she doesn't want to sit up here, right? Shrika email to me and then I can put it.
Generally, people will celebrate it with a little bit of fireworks. So if you see fireworks somewhere in a neighborhood this week, it's probably because they're celebrating Diwali. Okay, moving on to next section for public comments. Can I have a motion to open for public comments?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anybody would like to make a comment on any matters on the agenda or otherwise?
With the exception of the ordinance.
The exception of the ordinance, yes.
Susie Mayon, 16 Chesterfield Crosswicks Road. Just some feedback on the flu vaccine clinic that was held here. I found that was beneficial and I hope that you would continue it. Also, we've utilized the mobile MVC office that comes or truck, whatever, and that's also been a benefit. So I just, maybe you guys don't get feedback on some things that are positive too often. I just wanted to share that. And thanks again. The flu vaccine was easy peasy lemon squeezy. Shame more people don't take advantage of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody online?
Everybody raising their hand.
Perfect. Can I have a motion to close public comments?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Section 7, ordinance for public hearing and adoption. We have an ordinance 2025-11, an ordinance adopting the redevelopment plan entitled the Redevelopment Plan Block 104, lots 3 and 4, 457 and 463 Ward Avenue, pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing laws NJSA 40A:12A-1 at SEC. I don't know what SEC stands for. But can I have a motion to open it for public comments?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to comment on this?
Public. Doesn't appear to be any public.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
I did want to bring up one point. At the planning board meeting the other night, one member of the community did come up and ask about the historic house that's on there. And I did tell her later, not at the meeting, but later, that I would ask if it would be possible to reach out to the developers and see if there was any way that they could keep the house on the property. So I wanted to bring that up tonight. I might not mean delaying this for a couple of weeks, but I did want to bring it up to see if that was a possibility. The planning board attorney said that, or at least he indicated, my understanding was that since it's not officially designated as a historic property, we could not hold up the redevelopment plan for that. But I thought maybe we could approach them and just ask them if it might be possible. So I just want to bring that up and see what the planner thought of that.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So the house that is on this, so this is block 104, lots 3 and 4. Lot 3 is a small, less than 1 acre lot that contains a single family home and a pole barn type garage. That's not the property in question. The other one, which is the larger property, what I had access to prior to Tuesday, which is when the planning board meeting was, that I was there, was it the 1997 master plan has a historic preservation element with it, and there's a list of properties. And this property is not on that list.
Right,
Right. So
exactly.
I'm just for everyone's information. So that's why it wasn't on my radar, because I do have that and cross-reference it when necessary. What was brought to our attention is that the house, and I'm just being frank, I mean, I've been on the road and looked at the property when I did the redevelopment investigation in 2022. I couldn't tell how old the house was, and there are tax records that indicate that it's an older home, but in any event, I don't know the condition of the house. It was brought to our attention that the house may be eligible for designation, and that in a 1975 or 1979 report that was done for the township, it's listed as a site that may be eligible. So there's no documentation of the property whatsoever. It's just listed there along with, many others that it could be eligible. So that's just the background. Then in terms of the redevelopment plan, just keep in mind that the redevelopment plan essentially functions like zoning in most respects. It enables a little bit more input and control on the part of the township committee in setting the standards, but this is just the plan, right? The redevelopment plan, and in this case, plan means the guiding document. So when a redeveloper or an applicant prepares an actual site plan, to be submitted, that's when there would be a proposal to demolish the house. I think what you're asking is, talking to a redeveloper doesn't really have to do with this plan, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This is the township's document. And if you want to add in there that for example, that you would request that any potential developer review the structures on site and provide information about the history of the sites. Like, I don't even know what we would say.
Yeah, that's
Since it's not on any registry or
Exactly.
anything like that. So I'm a little bit at a loss, but I do think typically they would have to do basic work before doing a site plan, like a phase 1 environmental report, a wetlands delineation. And in doing that, sometimes that triggers the needs. Am I correct, Joe? Yeah. That sometimes triggers the need to do additional studies. And so if it was historic, it may come up that way. So I'm not sure. So let me ask one more question of you before I don't want to talk in circles, but are you suggesting that we put something in the plan that would require something of a developer?
I don't know. I I'm 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 I don't feel strongly about requiring it, but I wondered if we could have a conversation with them before they develop the
Yeah, we
plan.
certainly can do that whenever a
Yes.
developer surfaces. So I think the plan doesn't necessarily need to say anything about it. If we had documentation, I feel like it would be a stronger point to put in the redevelopment plan and say any proposed development should, study this and do the necessary cultural resources evaluation. But since we're not certain and we don't have any documentation yet, the right approach may be to just speak to any potential developer about, providing some, review of the site, access to the site if appropriate. And this site is not as large as, say, the Old York Country Club site was, where in that case, the Black House was rather well documented, and then it could be moved on site. This site is not that large,
Yeah.
and the house isn't that old.
So essentially, if I understood what the township planner is saying and what you're saying here, is that we need to, in the plan, there is nothing here for us to formally say or request any potential developer to take into account a historical I would say, property that's on the site because it is not documented as such. However, when we receive a proposal, we can or we should request the applicant and the developer to then uh, look into or give us an opportunity to look into that particular property to see if it falls within HPC.
Correct. That's right. Yes, and I would say that that'll be triggered by certain studies they already have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can require of them to do a study to see if that property is, that's what you're saying?
Well, no, we wouldn't be requiring so if it was documented historic, they would be required to do um, a cultural resources investigation.
Okay.
They won't be required to do that unless it's triggered by the other studies they have to do. So they're going to have to get a wetlands delineation. So they'll
Okay.
go to the Department of Environmental Protection for that, and they'll have to do a phase one environmental assessment. And if either of those trigger, because they'll review what's on the site, the age of the
Oh.
structures, and if that triggers further study, then they'll have to do it.
Okay.
And
So
we will be reviewing that documentation.
okay. So if the two studies that they have to do, the environmental one
Mhm.
and whichever other one that you named, I'm
Yeah.
not understanding the difference between the two, but the
Yeah.
studies that they'll have to do,
Yes.
if they reveal that there is a presence of a historical property, then we can ask for the next steps.
Correct.
If those studies do not reveal anything to that extent, then we have no say.
Correct. And also in the meantime, if the Historic Preservation Commission did do some documentation and, and that was put together before a redeveloper makes an application, then they may be triggered to go to the HPC for review.
Okay. But at this point in time, nothing like that exists. Got it.
Leah, can you just explain a little bit about the timeline about getting those studies completed, how long it would take for this potential developer that may surface to put together these plans and to submit their site plan or application? Can you just talk a little bit about the timeline of what that would look like following the passage of this plan?
Okay, yes. So following the adoption of the ordinance, the developer, I guess a developer could start doing their due diligence and putting their plans together. I'm speculating, but usually let me ask Joe, how long would it take?
At least, especially if you get that back, DEP. So, wetlands application for an LOI would take all bit of a year, probably. The rest of the stuff could be done, I would say 6 to 9 months from start, if they decide I'm definitely submitting an application, to where they might submit an application.
Do they have to submit the application to us before they can start any of those
Planning.
plans?
No,
So potentially they could already be working on those plans or have been working on them.
Oh, they could be. Yeah, they could be doing background studies, because they're going to do a traffic study, a phase one environmental assessment. They have to get property survey, get all the engineering done, make their application for the letter of interpretation for the wetlands delineation. The property doesn't have a lot of wetlands on it, but I think there are some like back by the turnpike.
Would the township be notified if any of those surveys or studies are ongoing? Or not until they're complete?
I think we get notified of their application to DEP for the wetland.
Have we been notified of any application? No. So then we're saying at least, we're going to pass this. We've not been notified. So there have to be at least a year out from being able to.
Yeah. So the thing is too, so this is keep in mind that the zoning of this piece of property was already office professional, the larger piece. So, and it's been zoned that way, as I told the planning board the other night, it's been zoned that way since at least the 1990s, and I think even prior in the 80s. And the OP office professional zoning district allows for research and laboratories, professional and business offices, warehousing, storage. So essentially, the vast majority of the uses that are permitted by this redevelopment plan were already permitted in the zoning. The benefit of doing the redevelopment plan is that we can add more standards. We can add flexibility if we want to, but we can also add more standards in terms of the design of the site, the requirements for what the building architecture, various things that the town may want to have more control over. And another benefit of doing this was that lot 3, as I said, is a small lot. that was essentially going to be, that would have been orphaned because a developer may have no motivation to buy this little lot next door. And as you know, the property to the west is the prison's property. It's the soccer fields, but it's owned by the Division of Institutions. So that little less than an acre house was basically going to be left there by itself, zoned for office professional or whatever it's zoned for right now. And, you know, it would be stuck because it's less than an acre. What could it be developed as really? So by doing redevelopment, the town is able to encourage the developer to buy both and encourage them to incorporate that lot. So like there's a lot of benefits to doing the redevelopment plan. And I'm not sure how far a developer is, but once the redevelopment plan is in place, the idea is that the potential developer wants to be designated as a redeveloper. So they would come to township committee, typically in my experience, and request to be designated as the redeveloper first. And then, you know, they'd provide their qualifications and what they intend to do. And, you know, you would have discussion about that. And township committee would, by resolution, designate them as the redeveloper. And then you have a kind of an understanding of what they're going to do. And then they'll proceed with the site plan.
So I just want to make sure I fully understand. So under the different timelines for the wetlands, all these different studies, it'd be very difficult for them to come to us, say, like before the end of the year with any type of concrete.
Oh, yeah, no way.
This year,
No. Like in terms of an application to the planning board, it couldn't even conceivably be before the spring. I can't fathom.
Thank you.
And, I remember one of the planning board members did have that question about the permitted uses, where doctor's office not being one of the permitted uses. Would you know why? I mean, I was also wondering.
No, and I forgot to figure that out after. So a planning board member asked why medical offices are not permitted. And I didn't, and I mean, I did write this plan, but I didn't remember
I was
like
just
what and I
wondering.
think it was because they weren't permitted in the OP zoning district. And so I just
Okay.
carried that forward.
Yeah. Okay.
And oftentimes the only reason is because medical requires like different parking requirements. But again, on this site, it's large enough that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like a location that would be
Feasible.
necessarily desirable for like a large medical facility. Anyway.
So to go back to my original question, like if if a developer came before us and asked to be designated, is that when we would ask them to consider the historic building, or just
You could ask.
wait and see what's
you-
triggered?
You could certainly ask them at that point, because when they come and request to be designated as redeveloper, they're going to provide you with a concept plan. And that would be a trigger for you to ask questions.
Could we ask them before they did a concept plan, or could we have an identified of someone who's planning to come?
Oh yeah, you can ask them anytime you want. Yes.
And what would be the mechanism to do that?
We could just reach out and ask.
Okay.
Just, you know, it's a question. And of course, you know, we don't, when it's early in the process, we don't really have any mechanism to really influence what they're planning, but we can certainly ask. Once they have an application pending, we have more leverage.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if they wanted to incorporate this building into their plan, it would make more sense to ask them to do it before they have an entire plan developed, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-11?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Can you do a roll call?
I sure can. Ms. Botcher?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
No.
Ms. Codestale?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Moving on to resolutions, we have resolution 2025-10-9, resolution authorizing conveyance of duty weapon to Sergeant John Stefani upon retirement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 2025-10-10, resolution authorizing refund of Harvest Festival vendor fees to Jackie Borzio for J&M Suites. Can I have a motion? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the bills list, can I have a motion to approve the bills list?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. reports and discussions. I know we have the 2026 professional services. So we all received an email, and I am in. Yeah, I'll let uh, the administrator here discuss, but I am in favor of sending out, I would say, doing RFPs for all the professional services that we have. But go ahead. I know I saw the email.
In my email to you, the clerk Karen and I discussed the fact that if we were going to do them, to be ready for the reorg, we would have to know, because she has to send out notices. People need time to prepare the proposals. We need to receive them, let the committee members review, and come to a determination. I know in the past, there's been different approaches to whether or not the committee wanted to even solicit those. So it's not for Karen or I to make that decision. That's what.
I agree. I think we should send
We
out
should.
the RFPs
Absolutely,
and
we should.
evaluate.
Agreed.
The timeline for,
They won't be back until probably the very end of November, beginning, probably the end of November. They have to be on the street for at least 20 days.
In the past, we've done, looked at them and reviewed them, and we also have, as a courtesy, included if there was any change in the committee, included, anyone that was coming on. So if we did the interviews in December,
Yeah.
we would include. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
explaining.
No, I talked to George about that, of what
No,
our
but I
past
mean,
presidents, yeah.
Yeah,
go
just
back
trying to
because they
understand the
haven't been on it.
Mhm.
Because even last year, we didn't do this process. We just kind of reviewed everyone and kept the same.
are these RFQs posted
They will be on our website.
on the
Mhm.
website?
Just let us know once they're posted on the website. So we'll inform
Hopefully
everybody and
tomorrow.
anybody. Thank
You
you.
should do it by motion, just to be clear, just to make a
Perfect.
motion to.
Can I have a motion
authorize the
So
to
issuance.
moved.
authorize the 2026 professional services RFPs? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Youth Advisory Board, go ahead.
So yeah, I wanted to share an idea and a proposal which has been on my mind for quite some time about forming a youth advisory board, which which I strongly feel would deepen the connection between the youth, the young people of our town, and the local government, because it'll give them like a platform, a voice to share their opinions, their ideas, their perspectives. They'll also get to know about the learnings of the local government and how everything's done here. They get to participate in community initiatives, etc. I was reached out by two of our youth representatives, Pihu and Sava, who are here in the audience tonight, and they have been working on shaping the concept and this proposal. And they're very excited to share their thoughts with us. So I would like to invite upon Pihu and Sava to please come and share whatever you have in mind.
Great idea.
Good evening, members of the Chesterfield Township Committee.
Just for the record, could you just state your name and
Yes,
address? Thank you.
I'm Pihu Batra.
I'm Sawa Barwa.
We're here tonight to propose the creation of the Chesterfield Youth Advisory Board Committee, or YAB for short. And the mission of this committee is to give Chesterfield youth a real voice in local government. We want to connect middle and high school students with township leaders to talk about the issues that affect us most and to help shape the community we're growing up in.
The Youth Advisory Board will serve as a bridge between the young people in Chesterfield and the local leaders. Our goals include advising the township on youth-related issues, developing and leading community projects, as well as promoting civic involvement and leadership among students, as well as advocating for solutions around topics like education, mental health, and public safety.
The YAB will include two main groups, which include the General Assembly, which is open to all Chesterfield youth aged 12 through 18, and an executive board made up of student officers, including a chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, communications director, and community engagement lead. These officers will coordinate meetings, manage events, and make sure every initiative stays organized, inclusive, and community focused.
The Youth Advisory Board plans to meet once a month, either in person or virtually, with additional meetings planned for different things like project and events.
And as for our first upcoming initiatives, we already have a few exciting ideas. For example, we'd love to lead a senior technology workshop where high school volunteers help older residents learn how to use smartphones, email, and social media safely.
Then to wrap up, we are also planning youth-led events, service projects, like community service cleanups, mental health awareness clinics, and seasonal drops to support local families in need. We're asking for the township's support, mainly in providing meeting space, event funding, and access to communication channels to help us reach more residents. The Youth Advisory Board will help create a unified Chesterfield where youth are empowered to serve, lead, and make a difference.
Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhuvan.
I had one or two questions. This is great that we are promoting the youth and we are encouraging them. We certainly have a lot of meeting space that we can give them. That's not a problem at all. What I heard from them is how they want to organize their offices, but what would be the expectation on the involvement of the township staff and the township committee? Are we going to partner there with them, and how are we going to partner with them?
I believe we could have a township liaison who could work with the advisory board. Um, and I think they plan to meet once monthly, either virtually or in person. So one of us could help them, with the meetings and just to kind of update them on any community initiatives and like how they proposed this idea of having a senior tech workshop. We could give them some space in the community room, and I already know some seniors who've been asking for this, so this was, I think, a great idea. I mean, I would love to hear from you guys if you have any thoughts or inputs on how we can do this.
I do feel that one of us should at least be a liaison, because that way we can guide them and
Mhm.
understand what they are trying to do, and help them coordinate with the township staff
Yes.
and all the administrative work that needs to happen on our side. So that's a great idea. And to me, this is an awesome thing. We are involving young people from the community. We are getting them engaged, and whatever we can do to support them. Go ahead.
I think it's a great idea. I just, are you familiar, Dominic, just working with other communities, if this is something that's happened in
I mean,
other towns?
other towns have it. It's not like
Evesham has it, Montgomery has it, at least.
it's
I know two or
around.
three.
Yeah, I've seen it in other places. And at least in those municipalities, they have created it as like an official advisory type board, like in the ordinances, So,
And that's what I'm wondering, if we want to go in that direction. I'm just trying to think. I think I'm very, very much in favor of the concept. It's just how that it's organized, how it's structured, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Maybe something we would need a little more
I th-
feedback on.
right. I mean, there's, if we're going to be creating an ordinance, yeah, there's lots of questions, right? How you limit the number of members on the actual board itself. How long are the terms? I would recommend not just one liaison. I would have two liaisons, and a second one being an adult from either like a youth organization or something in town, as almost like a backup too, because a lot of our township resources are stretched thin as it is.
Mhm.
And to I'm sure they want to be involved, but they would almost be, in my mind, like secondary liaison, the township, and have more of an adult presence of a different liaison there who kind of steps up to be like the lead liaison. I think that works better that way with something like this. But yeah, there'd be a number of questions. But if that's something that the township committee wants to do going forward in terms of me like putting something together, I'd be more than happy to at least come up with a draft that we could talk about, or I could discuss it with the representatives or whatever you guys like. But I mean, just general framework. I don't think the ordinance wouldn't be anything crazy detailed. They would just lay out their duties like any of our other boards, how often they typically meet, the terms, and things like that.
Yeah, so maybe you could speak with the two young ladies that came tonight and see what kind of they have, and then come up with a draft ordinance for us that we could look at. Structure.
Dominic, I can share their contact
Thank you.
information. We can talk about the next steps.
Sure, no problem. Is that the direction? Yep. Okay.
Okay, next is the engineer proposal, municipal parks grant for Fenton Lane.
Proposal is related to the 2025 municipal parks grant. Really, the third phase of our um, parking lot, walking path project, overall project at the park. If you recall, the 2023 local rec improvement grant, we were able to pave the parking lot. The 2024 grant, we paved the paths around the fields. And then we submitted for that same program, the local rec improvement grant for 2025. But the awards were fairly limited. We did not get an award. And then the municipal parks grant program opened up from the administered by the county that we applied for the rest of the funding to do the remaining path to connect more or less where the parking lot is out to Fenton Lane itself, where the crosswalk is. And we did receive that grant in the amount of $125,000. And so this proposal is for the that grant doesn't cover engineering costs. This is the proposal to do the engineering work required to take production.
Sounds good. Quick question regarding this. Will you also make a determination whether it's going to be close, the walking path is going to be, say, the field side or on the other side of the gravel path, things like that?
It'll be on the field side.
It'll be on the field
Where
side.
we originally proposed it, unless there's opposition to that for some reason.
No.
We can talk about where it goes. There's not much room on the opposite side because a long time ago, the parking lot was expanded to stone,
Correct.
was expanded up more or less to the property line as you come in on your right side.
Okay,
So
so
there's not much room on that side, but we did prepare for a crosswalk at the intersection, more or less with the parking lot.
okay,
and the-
I see
and
that.
the
Yeah.
entrance drive, we prepared a crosswalk in one of the previous phases so that this path could connect directly to that to provide an area for people to cross over, more or less where the playground is,
Awesome.
right in front of the playground.
Right. I can see that. Yes. So, and this will be a paved,
8-foot wide.
8-foot
asphalt
wide
path.
part. Yeah, asphalt path. Okay, so you can then come in directly from the township across Fenton Lane. So you'll probably have to do something on Fenton Lane Road as well,
Yeah,
right?
just a little bit to come from the Fenton Lane or the park side of that raised crosswalk.
Correct.
From that point is where we'll start.
Okay.
Up Fenton Lane into the park and then all the way up to where that crosswalk is.
Perfect. Okay.
So, is there money in your budget for this?
In my,
This, in the 2025 budget covers this?
There is enough in there. We're getting close
Perfect.
on a lot of things.
not to exceed, so we'll bill on a time basis and you know,
Right, I got you.
summary of our
Since we have the budget, do you expect to complete the study this year? So that doesn't go into the next year's budget?
bidding and
It won't go
award.
into
It's probably
next year's
unlikely we would get the construction, but I would like to get it out to bid for a contractor so that they can do the work in the beginning of the season next year.
Okay.
This would be encumbered under this year's budget.
Perfect.
It may not get paid out until next year, but it would be encumbered under this year.
Paying can be a different thing.
Mhm.
It has to be charged this year's budget.
And for the construction, given that we only have 125 in the budget, are we going, we haven't discussed whether or not we're going to include these alternate.
Yeah, so I laid out on the
Bids.
third page, I
Yes.
just laid out this was the scope of work we applied for. And we applied for applied for 166,000, which is more or less to do this whole scope of work. So I reorganized the scope of work to kind of facilitate what we could award with the 125,000. That's why you'll see the base bid is about 120,000. Make sure we have a project that we can award, and then we can do an alternate bid to get pricing secured, and then the township can make a decision if they want to award the alternate bid from any other recreation funds that you may or may not have available. At the time of bidding, you can decide that.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right then,
we would
thank you.
design it and bid it this way.
Correct.
And then this way we know we have a project that's within the grant amount, and then the township can consider additional if they want.
Or take some out if it goes over the 125,
We can't take it out at bidding, but if you award a contract, you can always
reduce it.
some of the
Okay.
work out if necessary.
Thank you, Joe.
We want to move ahead with this proposal, then do we need a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who was the second on that?
Did I hear,
Did you
Rebecca,
second
you
that?
said second?
I thought you did.
That's
Okay.
Oh,
I then
okay.
put in mine into second.
Okay. Did you want to do your report now too now?
Might.
I didn't put that anywhere else, so I didn't put that on there, but
Only a couple minor updates here. So items 2 and 3 are the municipal aid projects for 24 and 25, which is the paving of Marjoram Road and Hogback Road. If you recall, at previous meeting, we awarded both projects. And so I just forwarded the draft contracts to the contractor so that they can get their insurance and bonding in place. And so we can prepare contracts for the township to execute once they're ready. So that was all sent to the contractor beginning of the week. I haven't gotten anything back yet. Once we get contract in place, we'll be ready to go. This will also be likely spring construction. There may be some stuff over the winter, not paving work, but the ancillary work that they can do during the weather coming. They may do some work. With phase 2 of Hogback Road, they still did not announce the awards for that grant application. That's the 2026 municipal aid. We're still waiting for notification for that grant. Item number 7 is the proposal that you just approved. We'll get working on that. And then we had a subcommittee meeting on the public works site. We decided from that meeting that we had a concept prepared for reusing the existing site and some changes to the right-of-way and for Newbold Lane, how we could reuse public works on that side. We did not have a concept for this site, which is the evaluation, basically. So we're preparing a concept plan for this site, and then we'll prepare a phasing plan of the steps that will need to be taken place to even facilitate either proposal, and then for committee to evaluate that and determine if they want to leave public works there, if they want to keep move it here. Step 1 in all of that is going to be a subdivision to subdivide public works off of the Green Acres property. That may take a little bit of effort in and of itself, coordinating with Green Acres, but we can't do anything with the properties over there until that happens anyway. I'll have that prepared late November. That could be the option. Sure how that-
And you're going to move forward with the, with subdividing the Green Acres property?
And that's what it.
Forward without.
Yeah.
without
Okay,
your
well,
approval,
that's,
But that generally is the
I
first
think,
step.
well, I think that's what we should discuss then, because when we had the subcommittee meeting, Joe had told us that we couldn't do anything until we move forward with doing that. So I wanted to suggest to the committee that we at least take that step.
Correct.
And then we can see his proposals and decide from there, but
Verified last year from Green Acres. Technically, it's all one lot. Part of the parking lot. Able to do anything over there if we're talking about subdivision or validation. We do need to separate the Green Acres parcel from township property.
Yeah, and I think rather than delaying, we should go ahead with the subdivision application at least, and because Green Acres does take its sweet time, and we can at least start pushing them a little bit once we have the application in. So I'm in favor of submitting the subdivision of Green Acres property application. So we should move ahead with that. Is that something that we require a motion on, or that's just guidance? Because it's not
We
a
have
order.
consensus.
If you have consensus, we should move ahead with that.
do we have an idea on the cost?
I don't.
Okay, I don't think you can move forward without a cost because,
Information.
Yeah.
Your offer is accepted.
well, then next meeting, you can give us an estimated cost for that.
we're getting close to the end of the year. It's,
Yeah, no,
You-
no.
Even an
Absolutely.
application require a cost? Even an application for subdivision requires a cost because there's probably some administrative fee involved there.
Be coordination. We'll have to do a survey and probably some.
Oh, yeah, there will be, yeah. Yeah, no,
Prepare
then we'd like to know that.
Plan, and we're gonna have to send it to Green
Mhm.
Acres for their consent because they
Oh.
have a deed restriction on the property basically, so they're gonna the land, is it courtesy to the planning board?
Supposed to be. It's supposed to be sent as a courtesy, yes.
Would you be able to get us the cost estimate for our next meeting?
Good. Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay. Reports of the administration. From the mayor's side, I would just like to share the success for the 5K race. We had about, I would say, 150 to 200 people there, and I do not have the exact number, but I was told about 150 participants. And it was a good, beautiful day. A lot of people showed up. There was good music. There was a good fun run. The first person who came first was a real pro. He absolutely killed it in the sense that he was 16 minutes and 30 odd seconds, and everybody else was 18 plus. But it was, besides that, it was good fun. And it was a good thing that we were running for a cause as well. So overall, I think these are the things that we would like to propose. I would say support in our town. No incidents. Everybody had a good time. And I think we need to continue with this year on year and make it also one of our signature events. So thank you to the police department and to the team that was there. They helped us in making sure the race was safe, secure, and they closed out the road, entire street, entire Fenton Lane for almost from 8 to 11. So that made sure it was safe and secure. And I think your team was doing the rounds, Chief. So we are happy for your support. Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to add anything?
I do. I have a couple of things.
Go ahead.
Um, the first one I wanted to bring up is I was approached by the Cub Scout Pack 55. They'd like to do a proclamation. They're 25 years old. They wanted to do a proclamation at our December meeting, which I forwarded to Karen, the proclamation that they had asked us to write up. But they also wanted to know if we could meet with them prior, or at least some of the committee members to meet with the Cub Scouts prior to our meeting that night. So they want to do it the first meeting in December. So I just wanted to throw it out there if maybe we could start at 6:30 and just have a little, or now not everyone has to be there. I think they just wanted to have a little question and answer with the committee folks as to what we do and that kind of thing. So if folks could let us know if you can put that into your calendar, and we can let the Ryan know that we'll be happy to meet with the Cub Scouts at that time.
On that note, if there's more than two of you there, I have to publish it as a meeting.
Right. So that's why I wanted to do it.
We can do it during the workshop. Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll do it as a workshop. So we have the publish as a workshop, right?
That's all. It's already published.
So you could just put the workshop would include a little meeting with the Boy
I
Scouts.
don't even have to say what it is.
Okay.
It's just
So-
that I just have to have the meeting. So our meetings are already scheduled for 6 o'clock for work sessions unless they're
So we're fine
not needed.
with
Mhm.
that. So we could just meet at 6:30 then. I don't think they'll have that many questions that we need to have a whole hour for them. The second thing is I was happy to help out the tree tenders, and Seva planted the day before the 5K race 14 trees in Fenton Lane Park. They kind of look a little sticky now, but and they were donated by Larry Kuzer, who's a member of our Shade Tree Advisory Board. So it was a great collaboration between those two groups. And I'd also like to, on their behalf, thank the Public Works who went around and dug 14 holes, which was probably the worst, the most difficult. But so it was a great, as it was the tree tenders and the Shade Tree Advisory Board and Seva and our Public Works all working together to add, I think, a very nice addition to Fenton Lane Park. So Troy's not here, but if George, if you could pass that along, that thank you to the Public Works for doing that work. They really appreciated it. That's all I have right now.
Okay. Moving on to reports from the administration.
A couple things. At our last meeting, we had a discussion about sidewalk maintenance, and I was asked to look into how many complaints, reports we've received. We've only gotten one. Actually, Glenn has initiated 2 on his own while conducting other types of inspections. He noticed 2 hazardous situations, just taking action on it. By Facebook blast, our webpage, we've only gotten 1. I know I've heard comments about people know where they are, they're not getting them to us in any way. We're ready to act. Glenn's ready to act. Actually, one of them was one that he had to report on. I believe it was the one he had to report on. The Crosswicks was a sizable problem that involved a tree removal, and it went very willingly by the property.
Yeah, it's done.
Well, people are, what's that?
It's done. I went by there today.
Good.
We had another one several months ago on Main Street, the opposite side of the road. That was lengthy report. Properly. I know it's expensive. We're ready to act. Just need some. As far as your youth advisory board discussion, I took a quick look. Town that I used to work in has a youth committee. I have the ordinance. I'll share it with Dominic. It really aligns with everything that the young ladies talked about here tonight as far as powers and duties and their purpose. So I've been involved in this type of thing before. They had an employee who was an advisor, but she was a full-time recreation director. It was a different situation there, but I'll share that with Dominic. It's a successful program there as well.
Good to know.
But what the ladies talked about tonight, it really is, it lines up pretty well. I sent an email to Joe and Leah. I received an email from an organization called Plan for Health New Jersey, and Jay. It's led by the New Jersey chapter of the American Planning Association. I don't know if Leah is a member. Okay. And it's funded by Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And it's for a grant opportunity up to $50,000 for a public health element of a master plan, basically to redesign our master plan or add to it. Leah has experience in another municipality on this grant.
So just a little bit. So the New Jersey chapter of the American Planning Association applied for this grant, and the initial thing they started doing was drafting model ordinances and like a model master plan ordinance. The idea is to bring public health and land use planning together to enable healthier communities. Some of it's like pretty fundamental, like pedestrian and bicycle planning, which, just encourages people to use that as a form of transportation rather than always getting in the car, encouraging active lifestyles and that kind of stuff. There's also an aspect of figuring out where there are healthcare deserts, kind of like where there, healthcare may be missing or where there can be better health services in a community, kind of linking all of that together. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that's just like a little bit of the flavor of it. But the idea is to just try to be holistic in our approach to land use planning. So the idea would be not to do the whole master plan, but I think to do an element where you would bring together the land use plan and this public health planning. And I'm on the advisory board, the Dean's Advisory Board of the Blaustein School, which is the urban planning school at Rutgers. And I was at a meeting last week and I was talking to the people who got this grant, and they told me that they hadn't gotten any applications from South Jersey. And I'm the planner for Swedesboro Borough down in Gloucester County. And I started talking about that town because there's a little downtown and I thought they could really use that shot in the arm. And evidently, Chesterfield was raised as well as a town that they really like to consider giving the grant to. So they're not offering the grant, but they're saying, please apply.
We should.
So, and I think they see, you know, the work that's been done in Chesterfield to create a compact community in the village, the Old York Village, you know, the extensive land use planning that's already been done, and that it could be further supplemented with this work. So, it would be my understanding, and I don't have all the details yet, is that there's an interest form that has to be submitted within the next couple weeks.
By November 14th.
Okay, and that it does require some details, but like we have to connect with the county's health officer who works with Chesterfield. We'd have to provide some information about the land use planning that's already been done. There's more to it, but we've got to get into it.
According to the email, health officer recommended us.
Oh, so yeah.
That's what our name.
So I think if you were awarded the grant, for example, I think it's 35 to 50,000. Say you got 35,000, it could probably pay for your consultants on the project, and you know, potentially some staff time as well.
And what kind of a project would we be considering?
It's a master plan project, so it would basically be a new element added to the
Oh,
master
to add the element to the
yeah,
master.
yeah.
plan.
Sorry if that wasn't clear. So it would be a document that's ultimately adopted by the planning board.
Right.
And then if any implementation is required by ordinances, then township committee would do that part.
I think we definitely should do it.
What do you think the expense would be to us left over from the grant that the grant wouldn't cover?
Nothing.
No, it would cover all of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no.
Can I ask you something related? Now you said it'll be an amendment or an extension to the master plan. How often do we need to kind of refresh or relook at our master plan and make amendments? What is,
You have to do it every 10 years.
when
by
was the last
municipal
time
land
we
use
did
law,
it?
2017.
2017.
So it's coming up. But what has to be done every 10 years is a reexamination report, not like a full blown new master plan. Because you know, your master plan was done in 1997 with, it kicked off TDR. It was very extensive. You had the required elements, and like elements of a master plan are like, so you've got a land use plan element, which is required. And then you have a circulation plan, a recreation plan, community facilities, and Chesterfield at farmland preservation. And you have all of those done in 1997 or thereabouts. And then some things have been amended in 2002, 2003. And then there was the most recent re-examination report in 2017. That's all not counting the housing element, which is also a part of it, but you know, that's a whole other story. So this would be like an additional element to the master plan, a new chapter, and then probably some amendments to the land use aspect.
Sounds interesting. We should certainly go in for the grant and
Yeah. So I think it would be
get the study
interesting.
done, whatever the study
work
we
on.
can do. Yeah. That's excellent. Thank you.
The last thing is, and I had the mayor sign off on this tonight, I asked them to, we got a notification of a dividend from the Burlington County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, the year 2025, and it's a little over $11,000. About $1,000 increase from last year, and I took a quick look. It's 5% of our total assessment for the cost of the insurance. Back to the town, and that will be applied towards next year's assessment. Offset that. That's all.
Correct.
Thanks, George.
I have a motion to open up for public comments.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anybody like to make public comments here in the room?
Susie Mayon, 16 Chesterfield Crosswicks Road. Just want to clarify some things that Leah said. The data that indicated that the house on Ward Avenue was historic was from the Burlington County 1975 survey, historic survey, and it's listed as a potential. It's also listed in the book that was printed in 1964 by the Chesterfield Township Committee as a historic house. I mean, we can send Leah that information. Lorraine and I have been working on investigating some houses in that Burlington County survey. There's about 80 that are outside the historic district that have never been identified by the HPC or any other entity. So, and the historic inventory and the master plan probably needs to be reviewed because it hasn't been reviewed since 1997. And that data is based off a 1975 survey that was done to get some homes in Crosswicks in the uh, National Historic Register. And so I think a little bit more investigation needs to go on there. A new maybe review of the historic inventory, and then absolutely positively, do a survey that designates the properties as contributing and non-contributing. So that's probably a good investment of money. So things to think about for the budget time. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Susie.
Anybody online would like to make comments?
Not appear to be.
Can I have a motion to close public comments?
So moved.
Second.
Favor? Oh, aye. Is that
No, somebody left.
somebody left? Okay. Do we have a need to go into executive session today?
I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you. Then can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming. Good.